Like my name, Anna, if you say it backwards, it says the same thing as if you say it forwards. So that's the idea here with this presentation, but this will be more fun, so let's go. So, spoiler alert, the conclusion here is that we need to start paying more attention to vegetables. So things like actions to reduce seasonality and prices of vegetables, to better integrate markets for vegetables and other perishable micronutrient-rich foods. And this can reduce the cost and the seasonality, seasonal price volatility of nutritious diets. But paying attention to vegetables, which, by the way, my daughter agrees with this conclusion. She wanted to be here, but said it was not going to be fun for a 7-year-old. This conclusion is not different than what nutritionists have been always saying. So what's new here? What's new is that this conclusion comes directly from data which countries have had all along. We just haven't been looking at that data in a way that allows us to see vegetables and other micronutrient-rich foods that are important for nutrition and health. So by looking at this data in a different way, we find results like vegetables are the main food group for which cost varies the most across time, it's the most seasonal, cost varies the most across geography, they cost the most per day out of what's needed on a nutritious plate, and they also drive differences between typical food price indicators, which are tracked by countries, and ours which take nutritional quality into account. And I want to say that along with vegetables, fruit and dairy and other micronutrient-rich foods are also important to cost variation. So moving on to some pictures of results. This graph shows that nutrient adequacy, the cost of nutrient adequacy in blue, is much more seasonally variable than the cost of calorie adequacy in orange. And fruits and vegetables had the sharpest seasonality in price. So they had 12 to 30% price swings over the year compared to 1 or 2% price swings for oils, maize, and beans, which are typically the commodities which are paid most attention to in price monitoring. So these fruits and vegetables are driving the greater seasonality in the cost of achieving adequate nutrients. Here's some further results from Pakistan showing that another thing we can do with food price data that are already in national systems collected all the time is to look at the variation across space. So this map shows that the nominal price of achieving food-based dietary guidelines, which are recommendations determined by national governments on what people should eat, that the cost of achieving those recommendations is highly variable. So the red here is most expensive, and the green is least expensive. And the bar chart shows that the food groups that are most responsible for the disparities across region are vegetables, dairy, and fruits. So these are foods that are perishable. They're not as easily transported across space as oils and starchy staples and foods like dried lentils. So when we look at, we still using this indicator of the cost of recommended diets, and we break down the cost by food group. Here in Ghana, we see that the most expensive food group is vegetables, because a lot of vegetables are recommended. So this probably will impact consumption behavior, maybe adding less vegetables to the sauce because demand for vegetables is elastic or responsive to prices. So we see that it's a little trickier to meet the recommended diet in regard to some food groups more than others.